All right, let's head out to the fig room because I'm excited to show you guys some new things. And I picked up something today, a little 25-foot roll of hose. Let's get some light on. So a few things are different in here. I have completely rearranged this room to where I've got 4 grow tents in here. So I'm gonna unplug this dehumidifier just so we have less noise. And I wanna take you over here and show you real quick what we got going on in here. That's the engine that's driving it all. 80 degrees and right around 55% humidity. We've got to check out what we've all been waiting for. Here we go. Look at that tent. Those trees are growing like crazy. Let's get a quick look at all this from kind of back a little ways here. We've got our light, 250 watts in a 27-inch by 27-inch grow tent, about 5 feet tall. These guys are growing so crazy in all of this warmth and this lighting, and it just couldn't get any better. There are a few things that I'm coming up against I'm gonna have to show you, and that's what the 25-foot hose is for out there. But here we go. Check this out. So if you guys remember, this is that Ben's Golden Riverside, and we've got some big size figs growing on there. Look at that guy. Look at that. Look at the growth on this thing. It is just massive growth compared to the stalk down below. I mean, this is thinner than this big fat green growth up here. Let's get a top angle down. Look at that. So these figs all grow a little bit different, as you know, but this Ben's Golden Riverside, the leaves on this are just out of control. Look at the size of that. It is like a tropical environment in this room with these temperatures the way they are, and these figs just want to grow like crazy. These are trees, and they're growing like tropical plants. We've got, you guys are going to notice what's going on. I'll actually talk about this in a minute, but we've got our Campanile right here. This is Lou's fig, and you can see we've got little figs starting to form on there, on every little nook and cranny. And the fig tree's growing good, but you'll see this little brown kind of look. I'm going to show you that in a second. It's starting to spread. I need to get under control. It's not rust. It's actually spider mites. So we've got our first problem we got to deal with, but I got a solution. And then we've got our black Madera KK. Look at this thing. Let's pull it out. Let's pull that out. Look at that. Beautiful black Madera KK. Whoa! I just noticed this. We got figs growing on there. Look at that. I have not pulled this out yet. Wow. That is a real reaction, guys. That is so awesome. I have not seen that. Let's see if we can get a different angle. Look at that. I got to get rid of that leaf. We've got 3 figs starting to grow on there. That is absolutely amazing. So excited to see that. This is the tree that I want to see grow in this tent and grow beautiful, awesome black Madera KK figs. So this is the one that's going to stay in this tent. The others need to get up potted and moved out into these other tents and that one over there. But that is really cool to see. We've got some figs. All right, I'm going to get this guy out of the way here because I want to, this is also a black Madera KK, and I have not actually pulled these out and looked at them. I want to see if we got the same thing, and we do. We've got the same thing going on here. Look at that. Little baby figs. Isn't that cool? 2 of them, and I'll bet as this grows, we're going to get them growing on every stalk there. I might grow 2 black Madera KKs. I might up pot that and put it in that tent. Now this is, what I say this is a 5 foot by 2.5 foot by, I think, 6 foot tall. And we've got a 500 watt light in there. So that's going to be some nice, awesome, intense lighting. And I'll have enough room to grow 2 figs side by side there. So that may be one of them. The Ben's Golden Riverside might be the other, but I might put it in the 3x3 grow tent. We'll see. It depends on how much room I need because that Ben's Golden Riverside is just humongous. I mean, look at how far along those figs are. Now, I never intended on growing that Ben's Golden Riverside in here through the winter. I merely wanted to get a cutting going just so that I had something that wasn't growing on a different rootstock, because of the Ben's Golden Riverside I have now, out in the hoop house is the one that Ben sent me years ago, and he had grafted it onto what he thought was a Gillette rootstock. And I don't like grafted figs, because if I put it in the ground and it dies back, the rootstock is going to be something different. So in my area, that's not that much of a concern. I generally don't lose in-ground figs to freezing temperatures. I've lost a couple, but not that many, and this one would definitely be okay. So anyway, I wanted to get this thing growing on its own rootstock, and there it is. Anybody who's got a problem with Ben's Golden Riverside growing on its own rootstock, they got other problems, because this thing's having no trouble right now. All right, heck, let's just pull them all out. Let's get them all out of here. Oh, we're gonna set him aside. And we've got our Campaneri. Now, I wanted to show you guys this. So there's nothing wrong with this plant. It's a perfectly healthy plant. Spider mites is a thing you got to deal with. So are thrips. I already have thrips on them. It's such a common bug. It's really hard to get rid of. I hate thrips, but we're going to do something to treat all these guys right now. It's going to be completely natural. It's probably not going to eradicate them, but it's going to get things cleaned up quite a bit. But this right here, this little spider mite problem and thrip problem that I've got, typically takes over inside of an enclosed environment like this. Once summer comes, if I put all these outside, the problem takes care of itself. I don't have any problems with these bugs outside, because you've got all the natural ladybugs and all the other bugs that come along, spiders and things like that, and they eat all of these bugs. And so there's no issues growing this stuff outside. I never see these problems. I only see these problems on plants indoors. So this is just a natural part of the cycle. Everything's okay, everything's fine, everything's healthy. But I need to get these things washed off, and that's what the hose is for. We're going to spray off all these guys, the leaves, everything. I don't want to go nuclear yet. I don't want to treat with any pesticides or anything yet. And I've also got some other ideas with that Campaneri that I might do. It might not be growing through the rest of the winter here. I might actually try to make it go dormant, but we'll talk about that. So let's put this guy aside. Actually, let's just get him out right now, because he's the main culprit. But he's going to be okay. And then we've got our little black Madera KK that was just a little guy that didn't even have roots, and then it grew one root. Now it's growing into a little tree. So he's doing real good. Let's pull him out. We're going to set him aside here. All right. So the first thing I want to do is just get all of these guys out of here. There it is. You guys remember watching me put that frost-free spigot in the ground. If you don't, click the link down in the description. I'll take you to that video. It's kind of a fun one to watch. So we already had a malfunction. Now we're back to my wife's pink nozzle. Dude, are you really about to blast me with 35-degree water in near freezing temperatures? Yeah, look, we've got to make this happen, because we've got to get rid of these bugs. I can't believe you're even thinking about doing this right now. I'm a tropical plant. I don't think you understand. This is going to become a real problem. You're just going to have to take one for the team. Come on, buddy. You can handle this. All right, so I know this looks terrible, but I've got to get rid of these spider mites. They can infest plants like you wouldn't believe. This will also help spray off a whole bunch of thrips on those leaves. It won't take care of everything, but you want to wash underside, top side. The cold water is not going to affect these things at all. They're hardy plants. They're growing really well. And they're going to go right back into a warm room again. So by doing this, I'm just giving them a fresh start, buying them some time. I know I'm not going to completely get rid of all of the bugs, but what it's going to do is probably knock them down by about 90%. And there will still be some eggs left over. I'm not worried about all that. I will have bugs again. It's just an inevitable thing with indoor growing. But we're getting it under control, giving this guy a chance to bounce back, get a little healthier again, and then we can do anything else we need to do later. I've got some other tricks up my sleeve. We can take care of all that later, but I really don't want to hit these guys with any kind of chemicals yet, unless I just absolutely have to. This cold water, by the way, will not hurt this plant. Now this leaf here, you can see is a little bit damaged. It kind of dried up because there was a period of time a couple weeks ago where I didn't water it enough. These pots, these root maker pots, have been absolutely great. And in fact, you can see roots
coming out of every little hole just about, but they do dry out a little bit more, so I have to keep water to them. And at one point, I let that go a little bit dry, and that leaf got a little bit toasted, but I'm not too worried about one little leaf. Now, what I was thinking about doing with this little guy actually is forcing it back into dormancy. Now, I have not done that before with a fig plant in the middle of winter, but this is Lou Monte's fig, so I'm gonna have to send this to him at some point. And as you can see, it's growing like crazy. So I've got a good, probably close to 18 inches of growth, green growth, just in this one branch. And somehow I have to fit this in a box at some point. Now let's take a look real quick. I want to show you guys something. I'm going to pull this out of the pot if I can. Jeez. I don't want to bust those roots, but all right, let's see what we got in here. Look at this. Insane how much root growth we've got on this campanaria in that warm room. Look at that. It's absolutely beautiful. And you can see how those roots are coming down. They're hitting the little holes that are in that pot, and then they're just stopping the growth. And then more roots are growing from further back in there. But there are roots at every level on this thing. I love this. All right, so what I'd like to do is just force this thing to go dormant. I'm considering just starting out by taking it out of this room that's like been 75 to 80 degrees, putting it inside my garage at the house that maintains a temp of around 55 degrees roughly. It goes between like 53 and 58 degrees depending on the day. But what I thought about doing was just taking it from here, putting it in there, and it'll kind of simulate the fall where it slowly gets cooler. We're not just going to go straight into 30-degree temps. So I would want to simulate just the gradual progression downward in temperature. That would help this thing to start going dormant, I'm hoping. I don't see why it wouldn't. It's a lot less light in there. There's some light through the garage door, but nothing that would grow a plant. And so then we'd start losing leaves. And then I could, once we lose leaves, I could take this and put it outside on maybe a warmer day, like maybe around 40 degrees, and then let this slowly acclimate to the winter temperatures. That'll buy me a couple months until it starts wanting to wake up in the spring, at which time I got to send it to Lou anyway, but it'll stop this growth, because if I let this continue growing in that warm environment, I think this thing's going to be 6 foot tall by the time we get to spring. And we don't want that. Don't worry, Lou, we're going to make this work, and if anything goes wrong, I'm going to get you one of these guys. We know how to grow them now. All right, buddy, let's go simulate fall. So we're going inside that building. All right, I'm gonna set him down in a 5-gallon bucket just so we don't have a lot of drainage all over the concrete. But there he is. So, like I said, somewhere around 55 degrees in here. I'm thinking it's just gonna start going dormant. The only light is through those windows, and then just some 4-foot LEDs up above that aren't really gonna provide any kind of growing possibilities. But let's pray for some beautiful dormancy, and the bugs will no longer be a problem. And hopefully we can get this wood to harden off and send this to Lou as one strong, hardened, winterized tree so he can wake it up in the spring. All right, so now we've got Mr. Campanieri out of the way. Let's get back to washing these off so we can get them back inside a nice warm environment. That is just such a cool looking fig. That Ben's Golden Riverside is just massive and beautiful, man. Look at those figs. All right, so there's the remaining figs, and they'll be all right. It's about 40 degrees out here. We're not freezing, so we're gonna leave them here for now. But this is the Black Madera KK that I'm gonna put in that smaller tent. So we're gonna go up pot this. All right, set him down. All right, so it's now time to up pot that fig. So I've got the pot I'm gonna put in here. I'm gonna show you this in just a second, but this came from the Root Maker Company. I showed this in a previous video. It's a really cool technology that they come up with, and we'll kind of look this over. Thank you, Big Jim. We'll kind of look this over in a second here, but this is called the Root Trapper 2 pot, and
It's a fabric pot basically, but what they did was they coated it with a coating that the roots won't grow through, but they left a little portion on the bottom here where water can wick out of it. And then it's got the same coating on the bottom. But yeah, buddy, this is a 7-gallon pot, I believe. 7 or 10 gallon. Actually, this might be a 10-gallon pot. It's a pretty good sized pot, which is what I want, because I want that black Madera KK to finish out and grow us some ripe figs in whatever pot I put it in now, which is going to be this one. Now, I first learned about this root maker company from Grow New Plants. It's a YouTube channel. You should go check him out. He's a really cool guy. Grow New Plants. I'll put a link down in the description to his channel. I don't remember which video it is now, but he's actually got a code on one of his videos. He gives a code to this website, and you can go get a 15% discount, I think it is, on these pots. I'm not affiliated with them. I just really like the pots. I like their technologies, the grow bags. It's the first time I'm going to use this grow bag. I love their pots. But we're going to see how good this thing does. So the technology behind this fabric is that the roots don't actually penetrate to the outside, but they get hung up in that fiber, and then that causes them to just die at the tips and grow new roots from further back in. And then I do like how they've got the outside coating of this thing and just a little bit of non-coating on the bottom so that water can wick out. All right, so we've got a big snow shovel full of bark in there, and now I'm going to use my potting soil to mix in. It's a little more dense and more peat, and it kind of holds some moisture versus the bark. It doesn't like to hold too much moisture. Get this mixed up here. It's friable soil. I like that word, friable. Look at this stuff. It is beautiful, airy, but has some moisture holding qualities, nutrient holding qualities, but it will drain well. It doesn't clump together. I like it. Out of this pot, let's take a look at these roots. So that's what the root maker pot is doing. See, you can see right here, those roots, they grew out to the edge. They follow the channel. There's a little plastic channel in there, and they just go right down the channel, boom, until they hit a hole, and then they die back, and more roots grow from inside. But fig roots are so aggressive. Gosh, they're just, look at that, they're growing out of the top of the pot. They're just coming out everywhere. All right, so there's our little black Madera KK freshly potted up. I did remove some of the leaves here because I wanted to get some airflow under there around the trunk and be able to water a little better. I might air layer that little branch coming up at some point just to keep bringing the tree upward. But there she is, beautiful looking tree. The start to a nice, beautiful tree, and we've got a few little figs in there somewhere. Now, just so you can see, that's a 7-gallon pot right there, just a standard commercial pot. So you can see the size difference. I'm thinking, if I remember right, this is a 10-gallon pot. So I think that'll be a nice size, especially since it's in this root maker pot where the roots are going to prune themselves and it's going to be able to utilize all that soil in there. So the last thing I'm going to do is fertilize this, water it in. Water this in. Almost forgot the mosquito bits again. And this is what I use, I said in that past video, just to keep the fungus gnats at bay. All right, into your little grow tent you go. And there she is, our beautiful black Madera KK. Now, I am super excited to finally get this thing going, taking off, get some ripe figs on this. I mean, I've only ever gotten one ripe fig on this plant. Actually, it was another plant. This is a cutting off of that plant. But it was one of the best figs I've ever had. It wasn't even fully ripe. Crazy Eddie has convinced me,
and Crazy Eddie's going nuts,
that I can absolutely grow all the right Black Madera figs that I want indoors, like in this tent setup here. And if you haven't seen his channel yet, you should go check it out. It's Figgy Ed, and I'll put a link in the description down below or up in the corner somewhere up in here. You can go click and see his channel. But the guy is nuts. He's doing a great job. He's growing, I don't know how many figs, in his living room. And his wife is just hanging there with him. She is just allowing it all to happen right under her own nose. And he's still got a warm bed to sleep in. But, you know, that's Crazy Eddie. What are we going to do with the guy, you know? We're just going to follow along and copy him. And there's the final for now. So we've got our Black Madera KK. I up-potted my wife's Ben's Golden Riverside. That's her favorite fig. I know a lot of you are probably like, Mike, why are you growing a yellow long neck in your grow tent, sucking up all that power? But the truth is, she absolutely loves this fig. It's a real light flavor. It's juicy. It's refreshing. I actually really like this one too, but I'm growing one for her, and we've got some nice sized figs starting to form on that beauty. So we got to finish them out. I don't know how this is going to work out because this thing's already halfway to the light there. So I'm going to have to let this get up to a certain point and just hack off the top. And I have a feeling I'm going to be hacking back a lot more than just the top on this before long. For now, I just threw these other two Black Maderas in here. I'm actually going to come back, and I'm either thinking about trying to make both of those go dormant and just getting them out of here completely, or potting them up and growing them in the other tent over here. I'm not sure what I want to do with that yet because I've already got one Black Madera right here. Do I really need to grow 3 of them indoors? And judging by how many figs Crazy Eddie gets on one tree, I mean, he's like 80, 100 figs on one tree. I just don't know that I need two more of those. So what I would really like to do is get my Col de Dame Noir to start growing in here. It's outside in the hoop house, completely dormant right now. It's in a 7-gallon pot, so I'd have to either put it up to a fabric pot or just bring it in here in the 7-gallon pot and let it wake up. So it would take a month or two just to wake up and get going. But I'd really like to try that one and compare it to the Black Madera KK. So that's kind of what we're thinking about doing here. You guys let me know what you want to do. I think we got a nice little start to this thing. Like I said, we've got one more tent here to grow in, and then eventually I've got this one set up. I just need to get the light going and all that. But we got another 2x4 tent right here. So lots of growing room in here, lots of lighting. The power bills are going to be cranking. Here we go. Well, I don't know about you guys, but this little indoor fig growing setup has got me excited as heck, and Crazy Eddie's got me going nuts now. I can't believe I actually saw some figs on that Black Madera KK. I'm looking forward to seeing them turn into figs. We are going to finish them out in there, and if, you know, what they say is right, about 90 days to get the figs to ripen, we'll just call it now. I know they started probably a week ago or something, but we'll just, today is I think the 3rd of February. We'll just call it, we got the month of February, and then March, and then April. So the end of April, around the 1st of May, we should hopefully see some Black Madera KK figs ripening on that tree in there and be able to get them. Now, maybe it'll take a little longer because it's a Black Madera. I don't know. We'll see how this goes. It is indoors, and I've got a lot of warmth in there. And I know when a fruit tree grows in a warmer environment, it actually ripens fruit quicker. I've done a little bit of digging into that, and it is true. So I'm just excited to see what happens. We might be having fresh figs in the beginning of May. We'll see. Anyway, next thing we need to do, probably in the next video here, is we're going to get those other 2 Black Maderas figured out. I don't know what I'm going to do with them yet. I really don't want a whole bunch in there taking up a lot of room. I want to try some other figs, like that Col de Dame Noir, and maybe my Bordesalt Negra Armada. I'm thinking about throwing that in there. We'll see. You guys let me know. Let me know in the comments down below. What fig would you like to see me grow in there? Because I've got more room to keep expanding as we go. I've got another project going on in that 3x3 grow tent right now, and when that's done, that's going to open up, and then eventually we'll move over to the 2x4. So lots of fig growing room in there. The power bill's going to be sucking a little bit, and I'll let you know that as we go along. I'll kind of break it down and show you guys what I'm spending on power for this whole setup, and just kind of keep it honest. Let you know, what is it costing me to grow
you know, a fig. Well, if you're crazy 80 or 100 figs. We'll see. I hope it ends up being something like that. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this one. I hope you're having fun watching this little series. Have an awesome week. I'll see you guys in the next video. Adios.